This wardrobe can actually enable time travel. The man opens the wardrobe that has been passed down in his family. He pushes all the clothes to one side and climbs into it himself. Then he shuts the wardrobe door tightly. Thinking back on the superpower his father taught him, he clenches his fists and closes his eyes. The next second, he travels back to the night of the previous day. Tim Lake walks downstairs with an incredulous look on his face and discovers that the party that took place yesterday is happening again at home. He's instantly overjoyed. He finds the girl he didn't dare to make a move on last night and kisses her. Now, he finally believes what his father said and immediately climbs into the wardrobe to go back to the original time. His father tells him that as long as they are men in their family, they can travel back to places they remember and have been to. Tim's father used this ability to read all the books he wanted to read, and his grandfather made enough money for 3 generations.
Any first thoughts?
Well, I suppose apart from getting a slightly better haircut, money would be the obvious thing.
But his father also added,
Utterly screwed up your grandfather's life, left him without love or friend.
and I've never met a truly happy rich man. Tim has the ability to travel through time. After his father's persuasion, Tim only thinks of one thing, which is to use this ability to find a girlfriend. Tim has been single for 22 years so far. Having never experienced love before, he's longing for it very much. One day, his sister's friend comes to their home for a vacation. Charlotte's hot figure makes Tim unable to take his eyes off her. When she's sunbathing, she's also very proactive and asks Tim to help her apply sunscreen. But his overeager actions completely mess things up. He hurriedly and shamefully finds a wardrobe and climbs into it. After several time travels, Tim's skills have improved a lot. However, during the vacation, he's still too shy to speak up. It's not until the day before Charlotte leaves that Tim finally summons up the courage to confess his love. But Charlotte has already guessed what he's coming for and says that it won't work to save the confession for the last day. Tim thinks it's easy to deal with now. He steps into the small dark room and travels back to a month ago when he comes out. Then he immediately finds Charlotte and confesses his love.
I've fallen completely in love with you. Obviously this was going to happen because you're a goddess with that face, that hair. Even if you didn't have a nice face, and even if you had absolutely no hair, medical reason, I'd still adore you.
A woman's words can be deceiving. After Tim's affectionate confession, Charlotte doesn't show any emotion. She just tells him that they might as well have a pleasant vacation first and talk about this on the last day. Tim finally realizes that traveling through time doesn't mean you can make someone fall in love with you. People who don't love you will have countless reasons to reject you. His first confession just vanishes like this. Tim is so deeply hurt that he decides to leave his hometown, go out into the world to broaden his horizons and look for his future wife somewhere. When he arrives in London, he first visits the home of his father's friend. The friend's name is Harry, and he's a screenwriter. Tim can stay here for a while. Before long, Tim finds a job as a lawyer. However, if you're single when you start working here, chances are that you'll remain single when you quit. One day, his friend takes him to an event. In this restaurant, people can only date in a blind person's perspective. There's no light at all, and they can only communicate by voice. Tim meets Mary, who is fated to be in his life. Both of them are deeply attracted by each other's words, just like a red thread connecting them in the universe of fate. When the meal is over, Mary walks out from inside. Tim is instantly amazed by her appearance. The warm light also seems to put a veil on her. Both of them feel a bit shy. Since Mary's best friend keeps urging her, they can only exchange phone numbers and promise to contact each other later. Tim looks at her reluctantly as she leaves. Mary also turns her head and gives a smile over her shoulder. At that moment, Tim has an urge to travel through time thousands of times just to replay this glance back. Mary's appearance is like a rainbow, adding color to Tim's black and white world. On his way home, Tim is over the moon. After waiting for love for more than 20 years, it's finally his turn. But when he gets home, Harry is extremely upset. His premiere performance is messed up because the lead actor forgets his lines. This blow makes Harry feel that his life is miserable. Seeing this, Tim wants to help him. Tim can travel through time by using the wardrobe. He travels back to before the performance starts and holds up a board to remind the actor of his lines. However, he accidentally reminds the wrong person in a muddled way. He has to keep traveling through time to give hints. Finally, Harry's performance is a huge success. Tim breathes a sigh of relief and wants to share the joy with Mary. But when he opens his cell phone, he finds that there's no Mary's phone number on it at all. He then realizes that because he helped Harry, he missed the chance to meet Mary. Tim rushes to the blind restaurant in a panic, but it's already too late, and Mary is nowhere to be found. On his way home again, he loses his color. The next morning, Harry shows off to him that his performance has made the headline of the newspaper. By accident, he discovers an exhibition of Kate Moss. He vaguely remembers that Mary likes her works very much, so he comes to the exhibition every day and waits for the chance to run into Mary. Surprisingly, he really waits for Mary to come. Tim falls in love with Mary, but in this time and space, Mary doesn't know him at all. Tim keeps courting her in an unabashed manner, but when they're having dinner, he learns that Mary has already found a new boyfriend she just met these days. However, Tim finds out how the two of them met and travels back to the party where they met. He meets Mary before that guy. She's sitting alone on the terrace under the night sky, and the stars seem to be shining brightly just for her. With his insights about Kate Moss, Tim quickly wins Mary's favor. They go to a restaurant to have dinner together. The more they talk, the more Mary feels that it's fate that brought them together, as if Tim is a bosom friend she's never met before. After dinner, Mary begs Tim to accompany her to get her car, but after walking a few blocks, Mary tells Tim,
Yeah, well, my car's actually parked outside my house. I got a lift to the party.
Unexpectedly, Mary is the hidden master. Before they know it, they've already arrived downstairs at Mary's place. This is the moment when Tim and Mary share their first kiss. In this instant, the entire street seems to hold its breath, falling into a profound silence. Afterwards, Mary invites Tim into her house, suggesting that she's going to change into her pajamas and adds that if he wishes, he can come in and take them off in a minute. True to her word, a minute later, Tim enters the bedroom. They embrace and kiss, a mixture of nervousness and shyness, palpable in the air. Mary takes the lead, guiding Tim on how to proceed. Thus, Tim experiences a significant milestone in their relationship. However, he's not entirely satisfied with how quickly it unfolds. Tim asks Mary to wait and then steps out of the room. When he enters again, time has rewound, and he gets another chance. This time he's more skillful, yet still feels that something is amiss. After repeating this process several times, they finally achieve a moment of perfect harmony. From then on, the two begin a blissful life of cohabitation. They take the subway to work together in the morning, sharing a tender kiss goodbye among the bustling crowds. And in the evening, they reunite in the comfort of their own little corner of the world, with music surrounding them, as if serenading their love. Tim and Mary make for a rather unique couple. They don their outlandish and quirky matching outfits, arms linked, as they ascend in the escalator. However, one day, while at the theater, Tim chances upon Charlotte, who had once come for a vacation. She takes the initiative to ask Tim out for a meal, and her words are laced with a hint of regret for having rejected him back then. Afterwards, Charlotte requests that Tim accompany her home. When they reach her doorstep, there's a certain air of ambiguity.
It's a lot nicer inside.
I'm sure it is.
In the end, Tim resists the temptation. He doesn't consider indulging himself and then using his time travel ability to reverse the situation. Instead, he dashes straight home to be with the woman he loves most, vowing never to betray her. He gently wakes Mary, who is sound asleep, and in the hazy, half-awake state, they pour out their love for each other. It's often in such a state of semi-consciousness that people reveal their true selves. After Tim's confession, he is rewarded with a soft, "I do," from Mary. The two decide to return to Tim's hometown to get married. Ordinary-looking Tim is, in fact, from a wealthy family of 3 generations. The seaside villa that greets Mary takes her by pleasant surprise. Tim's mother and Mary chat by the sea, like a pair of inseparable best friends. Their smiles are as bright and warm as flowers in full bloom during spring. Tim also has a long overdue conversation with his father.
What do you think of her?
I like her more than you already.
His sister, upon hearing that her brother has brought back a sister-in-law, rushes over excitedly and showers her with affectionate kisses. The entire family is immersed in a joyous and harmonious atmosphere. That very night, they start planning their wedding. However, on the day of the wedding, the sky is overcast with dark clouds, but the guests present all look forward with eager anticipation, unaffected by the gloomy weather. When the music starts playing in the venue, Mary appears at the entrance in a stunning red dress. Amid the gaze of thousands, she slowly makes her way towards the altar of happiness. She is like the most resplendent flower in a bouquet. Outside, the fierce wind seems to offer its blessings. Everyone shouts and cheers with wild abandon, their emotions intertwined. And just at the right moment, raindrops start to fall, creating an atmosphere ripe for the release of passion. Smiles adorn every face. This is a wedding that is both unforgettable and extraordinary. Tim's father has traveled through time numerous times to perfect his speech. His sister looks on at Tim's love story with a tinge of envy in her eyes.
So it begins. Lots and lots of types of days. Fun!
Soon, their child is born, a baby girl. Tim's role transforms into that of a father. He now has to bear the financial burden of the family, including the mortgage. But at this moment, he feels his life is fulfilling and meaningful, and the thought of time travel fades into the background. Every day, he busies himself with preparing toys and formula for the baby, shopping for refrigerators, sofas, and all the necessities of a family. However, life is never a smooth sail. Tim's sister gets involved with a scoundrel of a boyfriend. One day, after a fight with the guy, she has a few drinks and in a drunken stupor, gets into a car accident. Tim steps forward without hesitation and travels back in time to before the accident. To make his sister see the true face of the jerk, he reveals his time travel ability to her.
You promise you won't ever, 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 ever tell?
Yes.
Tim, with his power to travel through time, takes his sister into the wardrobe. They travel back to the day when she first met the scoundrel. It is then that his sister discovers that even if she hadn't been there, the guy would have invited other girls to bed. Filled with anger, she walks up and lands a punch on him. When they return to the original timeline, his sister breaks up with the scoundrel and eventually marries Tim's good friend. However, to Tim's astonishment, he finds that his daughter has turned into a boy. Shocked and bewildered, he turns to his father for an explanation. His father tells him that once you have a child, you must be extremely cautious when traveling through time. Because of the butterfly effect, it can change the process of fertilization, resulting in a different child each time, even though they are all your own flesh and blood. But Tim has already formed a deep bond with his daughter, so he decides to let everything return to the original state. He gives up on changing the situation with the scoundrel and doesn't prevent the car accident. Instead, he goes to the hospital to console his sister. Although he manages to get his sister to leave the scoundrel, she still needs some time to recover in the hospital. Even with the ability to travel through time, Tim finds that he cannot save his beloved family members from all misfortunes. He and Mary have another daughter, and life returns to its ordinary yet peaceful routine. This is exactly the kind of life Tim has always desired. But, as is often the case, things don't always go as planned. One day, his mother calls to inform him that his father has been diagnosed with cancer. Returning to his hometown, he is greeted by a somber and heavy atmosphere. The entire family is weighed down with grief. His father tells him that he only has a few weeks left. Since the time span is too large to travel back, they bid farewell in a calm and ordinary manner, without any dramatic outbursts. Moreover, his father reveals to him a final and profound secret. The ultimate destination of time travel is an ordinary life. Every day can be a happy one. All you need to do is to look for it with an open heart. Then you can travel back to the morning and relive the day. He discovers that when you let go of the anxiety of the unknown, how beautiful a day can truly be. Thus, every day is the best day. In the end, Tim's father passes away, but Tim doesn't feel overly sad. He uses his ability to go back to the time when his father was still alive, over and over again. They sit on the couch and read together, devouring all the books they've ever wanted to read. Tim never tires of these moments. Suddenly one day, Mary expresses a desire to have another child. She believes that their two children have different levels of intelligence and that the less intelligent one might feel inferior and become depressed. Facing Mary, who is completely unaware of the consequences, Tim hesitates. Because having another child means he can no longer meet his father. But Mary keeps pleading, and Tim finally relents. Just as his father had told him in the beginning, when you gain something, you always lose something else. Before the birth of their third child, Tim makes his last trip back in time to see his father.
Wow! Oh my God, I won! What's my prize, apart from the Olympic gold medal, of course?
A kiss will have to do.
A kiss? Ah, I get you. This is it then.
Words are unnecessary. Their bond is felt in the simple presence of each other. This is the last time Tim sees his father. Tim gently kisses his father. In the long river of time, even though they possess the ability to travel through it and emerge above the surface, they are still powerless against its ceaseless flow. Finally, his father suggests they go for a walk. Since they won't interact with other people, nothing will be changed. So they travel back to Tim's childhood, to the time when they used to play by the sea. After that, the wheels of fate continue to turn. Tim, like any normal family, gradually comes to terms with his father's passing. Life goes on as usual, and the seasons change, bringing everything back to its normal course. After that, Tim realizes another secret that goes beyond his father's teachings. That is, instead of traveling back to a specific day, he starts to live each day with the mindset of having already traveled through time. He treats each day as if it were the last day of an extraordinary yet ordinary life. All we can do is to give our all and enjoy life to the fullest, savoring every moment of happiness. Just like the moment when a ball falls, or when you reach the most exciting part of a book, or the day you reunite with your loved one, these are all the ultimate choices in the countless fates we encounter. This film is called About Time. When you first think it's a science fiction film, it turns out to be a love story. And when you start to view it as a love story, you'll be deeply touched by the bond between father and son in the end. But it's only when you swallow the last gulp of the heartwarming message that you realize it's fate that led you to finish watching this movie. If you could, would you want to change your current situation? But don't forget, when you gain certain things, you are bound to lose others. Instead of trying to change the past, why not look forward? Every day is full of the unknown. You have the power to change every moment that follows. Don't think it's too late. It's never too late as long as you take the first step. Going back to the film, my favorite scene is the wedding in the rain. The dress is soaked, the cake is drenched, but the people present are still laughing and cheering wildly. The fierce wind and heavy rain seem to be there to celebrate with them. Mary never knows that Tim can travel through time, but she knows how to cherish every moment that happens. All she knows is that the moment she walks into the church in her red dress, she has found the final destination of happiness. Movies are an art that lingers in our minds. Movie recaps are just here to recommend a film. Only by experiencing the original film can you truly live through a different life. See you next time.